Yo, check, check. Are we alive? Are we live? Are we kicking? How's that sound? That should be good. Sweet. What is up? Welcome. Today I have a special guest, Roger Veer. Just kidding. No, we are reading top dev stories. Second week in a row. So I'm stoked about this. It was fun last time. So I have the lineup here. I'll get started in a minute, but I've got the lineup here of the stories. I'm just going to devs and filtering by posts, zap rank for the week. So these are all of the posts for the week, actually. But yeah, I mean, I see interesting stories fly. I want to comment on. I have a lot to say. And this is a good format for me to do that. I really have to sit down and focus to write a proper response that makes any sense. So figured we'd start reading through them and diving deep live. So did that for the first time last week, went pretty well. And I think this week I'm gonna get through all the stories. And yeah, hopefully we'll start getting more and more activity on devs. But I love to see there's a lot of new devs posting, particularly this week. So that makes me very excited, encouraged as always. I love the new devs, the PlebDevs, of course. But yeah, how was your week? I just drove back in from Oklahoma City like literally an hour ago. So I'm a little tired, but you know, we're still kicking. I'm ready for the week. And I knew I wanted to push some code today, despite my long drive. So we'll do that later on after I go through the dev stories. I would like to implement Bitcoin Connect on the PlebDevs platform. That should be pretty easy. Well, it's meant to be very easy, but we'll kind of give a quick overview of it as well. And I want to show zaps. I have zaps in right now, kind of a simple implementation of zaps, but I want to start showing them on the content and just get that little snippet working. And then we'll jump into Bitcoin Connect. So I think that'll be pretty cool. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's start right here from the top. By zap rank, we've got from South Korea, LN, how to prepare for a coding career. Cool. So he says, for the devs out there, what books, resources do you recommend to transition from a career in academia, so academia coding using Fortran and Python, to a career doing front-end, back-end, app development, etc.? Of course, hands-on contributions, FOSS development is a no-brainer, and SN Rewards makes this very enticing. If you haven't heard, if you are a fan of Stacker News, you can actually get awarded very quickly for taking on any of their open issues on their GitHub. So it's a really great way to get started. My very first open source contribution was to Albion. It was for a very small bounty. I think it was like 40,000 sats, but it meant a lot to me at the time. You know, it was a big deal getting paid in Bitcoin to write code. That was the first time for me, and so, you know, this opportunity is out here for all of you trying to do the same. Okay, anyway, back to our post. Of course, hands-on contributions, FOSS development is a no-brainer, but as a more structured approach to get the right foundations is also important. I thought of asking a question here, rather to get insights from other Bitcoiners and Lightning Network developers. Sometime back, I was recommended a book by Koob, but not sure if it was this one or another one. Do you have any experience with this or similar books to prepare for coding interviews? Okay, what is this? Cracking the coding interview. Okay, yeah. This is probably South Korea LN. This is probably the book. This is probably the book he was talking about. I actually haven't read this book, but so much of what I learned when I was going through, I guess, the algorithm problem part, of just getting ready for the technical interview. I watched a lot of videos and stuff like that, and everyone talks about this book and kind of uses this book as their framework, it seems like, to prepare for the technical interview. I'm going to drop this music down just a hair. Okay. So yes, that's definitely a good one. It's a big one. But I mean, I like, you know, I think it's good to get like a general overview of the framing of how you do a technical interview. But I think it's also good to just really start getting your hands dirty. So HackerRank, I know HackerRank is one that people use. And so like I would highly suggest, you know, start with HackerRank easy problems and just focus on Python. Most companies, from my experience, will kind of be prepared or expect a lot of their interviewees to do technical problems in Python. You know, some people will do it in Java or C++ or JavaScript or something like that, but Python is a very common one there. So that's some specific thoughts right there, but I guess stepping back further, so how to prepare for a coding career. So this person, they have experience coding using Fortran and Python. Fortran, that's kind of crazy. Do people still code in Fortran? How old isn't that like a really, really old programming language? 1958, developed by IBM. That's a differentiator right there. I would put that on my portfolio. I think it wasn't Fortran, it was COBOL, was another super old language. It was randomly very much in demand a few years back because all of these legacy banks, they have like this terrible legacy code that's written in COBOL. I don't know if it's terrible. It might be good. I'm judging. I just think it's terrible because they're banks. But who knows? Maybe Fortran will come back around. But that's pretty cool. So our guy here has got some experience coding. So, you know, that's a big deal right there. It's like that's the hard 0 to 1 that most people don't make it past. Is just having a basic comfort with writing some code and solving some basic problems in some programming language. So the fact that you know Python, that's really good. It's a good language to stick to for focusing on algorithm problems. So going to HackerRank, over just general advice, going to HackerRank and YouTube and searching for people's opinions on this and some example problems. It's definitely important to know your data structures, or at least review that, like your basic data structures, when to use a dictionary, when to use a list, when to use a set. A very common theme I found in a lot of programming problems they give you is they'll give you a problem that sounds simple on the surface, and you'll get halfway through it, and you'll realize that you have to write a loop inside of a loop inside of a loop or something like that in order to solve the problem. And this is where usually the interviewer will tell you, no, like, can you make this a little more optimal, etc. And usually the answer often involves using a dictionary, using a hash map, and storing keys and values. So combining dictionaries with loops for solving problems anytime that you need to dig through data like 2 times over, that's just a really useful foundation to like lean on. And you'll see that in a lot of solutions to like these HackerRank problems that you run into. So that's just something simple I've kept in my head for a while. But yeah, man, I mean, there's so much to say about, you know, how to prepare for a coding career. And really, I would say that like the technical interview isn't important in a sense. Like, that's not what you'll actually be doing on the job, what you do in the interview, though it's required to even get the job. But I think just building apps is and especially apps that solve some kind of problem, unique problem that you care about, or some small niche unique problem for users. Like that's one of the highest signal things you can do, because most people don't do that. Even if they're very skilled programmers, very few people still end up solving some problem and actually delivering it to end users. So more than anything, I find and I hear that that is the ultimate differentiator. So let's dive into some of the comments here. Whoa. So, okay, top comment. So, Elements of Programming Interviews. This looks like another book. And in case you're just starting, it would be better to first go through cracking the coding interview. Okay. I'm not a coder, programmer, but asked it to my brother, and it's his suggestion. Nice. Okay, Bolin says code. Just code. Like a lot. How? Well, do projects. What projects? Good tools, stupid ideas, fun things, etc. Just code. Personally, I did my personal website, my band's website, a shitty social media thing, another shitty social media, rock, paper, scissors, MMORPG, which constantly broke because I tried to write all the multiplayer things in Scratch from C++. Another shitty website, a program to help me write blog posts. Yeah. Okay, so this is essentially what I was saying. Like, this is a really good path right here, is just trying a lot of things, a lot of projects, especially if they're things that you're just personally interested in. It's something that you'll actually finish. That's a really good thing. He says, and then I also did a little bit of competitive programming and things like Advent of Code, Coding Game. I used to use Coding Game back in the day. I forgot about that one. Along with, it's similar to Hacker Rank, but it's kind of gamified a little bit more. Catus and a million other types of things, yeah. Plus, I did join different hackathons, like game jams, etc. I really recommend going to these things because of how it is fun and networking. Then you can read some books. I highly recommend Clean Code. Sweet. Learn to write clean code, learn to write tests, learn to write simple make files to run maintenance things. Just code like a lot, and most importantly, have fun. Nice, that's good advice. My favorite book of the hundreds I've ever read throughout my coding career was The Pragmatic Programmer from Journeyman to Master. I searched on it just now and was shocked at the price of it on Amazon. Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of these books, a lot of programming books are extremely expensive. I also just learned now that I'm in love with the first edition. I never knew they had a second edition until now. Having said that, I cannot recommend the second edition since I've never read it. Okay. Practice is huge. Just build stuff. Doesn't have to be novel. Practice is key. You learn common pitfalls, issues, and solutions. That is very true. I mean, it is trite to say, but it is, at some point you need to make the to-do list app, right? At some point you need to go through that experience, and maybe you use the to-do list app as an example app to learn new libraries, new techniques. Like I did this when I was learning some advanced state management with React. I was learning Redux. I just built a do app, but I used Redux in it. But yeah, it's a good comment there. So impacts of no code / low code tech on coding careers. Okay, someone's just throwing a question in here. That's an interesting question. I don't know about that. I don't know either, but no code, low code is also being pushed out there to solve talent's shortage. Yeah, I can't speak too much on no code, but generally, no code to me kind of feels like you're still outsourcing your tech in essence, or whatever you're building, a website, a platform, a web store. You're kind of still outsourcing it, but you're also responsible for it at the same time. And a lot of these no code tools, they still charge you, or these no code frameworks, you're still paying for them. And in a lot of those situations, it's like if you don't understand the tech stack and you're already paying for it, you should maybe just get a Square site or something like that. Because the real advantage is to, I guess, building your own website, building your own infrastructure, is that you have control. It's free, and hopefully you can change it and update it as you please. But okay, so cool post from South Korea, Ellen. Good luck on your journey, and yeah, definitely keep posting and updating us on how it goes, and reach out to me if I can help ever. I don't know Fortran though, so I can't help you with your Fortran problems. Okay, this is one from me. I don't know, did I post that much this week? I think I just posted twice. This is a cool one. I won't spend too much time on my stories here, but I'm a bit of a gamer, so I like to keep up with a lot of the dev tools and stuff like that in the game world. And I saw this video recently. I used to keep track with like a lot of the Unreal Engine updates, but I haven't in a little while. And this one in particular like really blew me away.
Yesterday, Epic Games hosted their...
Ooh, I'm gonna mute that. Essentially, it shows off some of the new features they have, which let's go into. Yeah, so they have procedural content generation is really, really amazing here. And so this is all built into the Unreal Engine like dev platform. I guess you would call it a dev tool platform, like an IDE for games. But this goes far beyond any kind of dev tool that I've ever used. I mean, the amount of built-in content. So like, this is an example where he has like a randomly generated little oasis, and he's able to manipulate it, stretch it out. And it's not just like a carbon copy of like all of these trees or anything like that. And this is just like built into the Unreal Engine. So this is something really cool. Procedural content generation. What was I gonna say? I've heard that if you build and release a game that's like built with Unreal Engine, I've heard that they actually take a portion of your money. You have to like pay them. It's not just like you buy the license, like you buy Photoshop and you're good to go. Let me confirm that. Let's see what I would say. How much does Epic take from Unreal Engine games? Unreal Engine is free to download and use, and developers were not required to pay upfront costs. Instead, Epic Game charges a 5% royalty on gross revenue after the first $1 million in revenue per game or application. Yeah, like, I guess that's not terrible. I mean, yeah, I mean, you take the perspective of like someone that's an indie dev that, you know, it's very unlikely that they would be able to build like a high quality kind of AAA looking game or even AA looking game. So I mean, for those type of people, I can imagine the trade-off is worth it, because it's like, hey, if I get to $1 million, you know, I'm stoked on that. Like, but that is a huge cost. I know that there was some slightly bigger studios that were building on Unreal, and they kind of just pulled that on them, and it was a bit of a rug pull, because it's like, oh, we've spent all this time building our game on your platform, and now, you know, you're going to take 5% of our profits after $1 million. It's kind of ridiculous. This was another thing they're showing off, dynamic animations. It's really cool. So I think this is just for like humanoid, whatever, avatars. But it basically has like an automatic, like it links the animations together kind of dynamically in real time. What does it say here? I just want to read these numbers. Dense data set. So I guess this is on the left is, yeah, this is like how you do it the old way. So animations 371 frames, 24,635, 25 megabytes. You see the comparison here. So yeah, that's really, really impressive. The other thing, oh yeah, they're talking about Fortnite. The other thing was nanites. That was released before. Okay, yeah. Here's like showing a little bit about nanites at the beginning. It's basically, let's see. They're basically taking textures, and it seems like with some kind of machine learning, they're able to like pop out the distinct objects of the texture. So like here, yeah, this is an example of like nanites off and nanites back on. And it's getting really crazy, like these ground scenes they're able to generate. Like that's like the plain texture. And they show the polygon count here, and then they add in the nanites, right? And it adds this 3D element here. And they're adding in snow. Looks amazing. And I think they're going to show the polygons again. That looks crazy. Yeah, yeah, now you can see that polygon count. That's ridiculous. Yeah, so it seems to work kind of like a LOD, like level of detail, sort of. Like it renders at higher detail as you're closer, but I honestly have no idea. But really, I was just looking this, it was a bunch of eye candy for me, so it was a fun story. But yeah, any game devs out there? I've never built a game. I built Conway's Game of Life. I don't know if that counts. Okay, cool. Onward. So Python. So you want to learn how to code. Links I've collected over the years. Link thread here. Sweet. So this is from Expatriotic. Greetings. I've wanted to learn how to code, Python specifically, for a while. Here's the result of that. Enjoy my bookmarks dump. Nice. Got 21 links here. Okay, I see you. Man, cool mobile phone app called Mimo. What is this? Learn to code with Mimo. Okay. Python docs, Python Central, learn Python. Nice. Something else I would throw in here. I wonder if anyone mentions Replit. Look at that. Okay, perfect. Yes, Replit is amazing. Yeah, I actually like Replit just for, if you're starting out learning Python, one of the hardest things is the dev environment. It can be simple, it can be straightforward sometimes, but it can also just be a nightmare where you write print hello world, and you're trying to run it for the first time, and you can't, like you need to know the path to your Python, what do they call it? Like distribution, basically where your local Python files are stored. And you have to add it to your path and stuff like that. So that's usually the trouble people have. And Replit just, fixes that. You just open a new REPL and you instantly are writing and running Python. So that's pretty nice. But very cool list here. This is one that people can bookmark and come back to. Let's see what people say. So great resources. I need a similar guide for Rust in the coming months. Which of those links would you start with if you want to hit the ground running? I'm a little embarrassed because it's been a pending project for years, hence I've only collected the links. I've got none through them systematically. Having said that, I'd probably start with number 8 and 9. CS50 2024 lectures. CS50 Harvard. Yeah, I used to listen to some of these lectures when I was a delivery boy. I was learning how to code, just trying to absorb it. Yeah, I relate a lot to. So when I was first learning how to code, I started with Python, as a lot of people do. I think Python in a lot of ways is one of the easiest programming languages to kind of pick up and even just look at the first time. You can kind of just look at it and sort of be like, okay, I see what it's saying. But I just found I tried to learn Python. I would put it down. I would give up. I would get 20% into a course. I'd put it down. I'd give up. And at the time, I just thought I was a complete idiot, which maybe I was a little bit. But now in hindsight, I'm kind of critical as I go back to a lot of the courses and the materials that I was using. I'm kind of critical of them because of the approach that they had. Like my very first Python course, it was essentially like, I'm going to show you all of the syntax in Python, all of it, in order from least to most complex, right? So you start with print hello world, and then, maybe you go into operators, and maybe you go into data structure. And it's like, okay, a lot of programming courses will start out like that, but there was no rhyme or reason to it. It was just showing me a bunch of syntax, and then I was putting down these syntax examples, and nothing was sticking. And I really don't like that format. I like the format of learn just as much as you need, 2 or 3 concepts, and then build something with it. Build something that makes sense, or that you can do sense making about. And that's kind of like how I like to break things up. Not that my approach is perfect, but it's just what has worked for me. 2 or 3 concepts at a time, build something with it, put that example down, push it to GitHub, and it's there forever, and you can always go back and reference it if you forget it. And that was also one of my, missteps. I thought I needed to memorize all the syntax. And it's really, I just needed to get the experience and get a bunch of projects and examples down in my GitHub that I could return to anytime I need to do that thing again. But that was just my experience learning Python. I know some people pick it up in 2 days, so definitely different for everyone. Bookmark. Let's go. This list is great. 2 other resources I found helpful in my career early on were Automate the Boring Stuff. This is a great book. This is a perfect example of just a book full of really inspiring, really cool sounding projects that that will kind of push you into new territories as a Python developer. It's probably more of an intermediate book, but definitely one to keep around and to look at the projects and have some ambition for the projects you want to build out of it. We actually have that book in the lab here. And what is this? pbpython.com. Practical Business Python. Ooh, this looks dense. Is this just someone's blog? Taking care of business one Python script at a time. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, Python scripting as well. That's a good way to get started. And that's some of Automate the Boring Stuff. It's just like, write a script to automate something on your computer, just something simple. And it's actually a really cool feeling, writing your first scripts and making things happen on your local machine. Funny story, I actually, my very first Python script I wrote, it was called Node Modules Annihilator, I think. That's what I called it. And my goal was I had a bunch of these web projects on my local machine that all had like node modules. And if you don't know, node modules is just kind of like the packages that you download to run a particular project. And you can always re-download them from a configuration. So there's no need to store them locally, but you kind of pull it down to run it. So my computer was full of all of these node modules that were taking up gigabytes. And I was like, hey, I'm going to write a script and I'm going to crawl through all of my files and I'm going to look for any folders named node modules and I'll delete those folders. And so I kind of wrote the script, a few iterations, it was going good. And I just decided like, okay, it looks good, I'm going to do a blind run of it. And I ran the script and I made a small mistake. Instead of deleting the node modules, it deleted the parent folder of the node modules. So that was my first Python script. It deleted literally all of my code projects off my computer. But that's why it's good to push to GitHub, luckily, because I had all my stuff backed up. But yeah, don't make that same mistake. It can be devastating. But sweet, good post. Thank you for sharing, Expatriotic. And man, good luck on your continued dev journey. Definitely hit me up if I can help. Okay, jumping back down. So we are under DDoS attack and we do nothing. Okay. Let's check this out. So this is a link post, table plus. Okay, sweet. Let's dive into this. So we're under DDoS attack. For those that don't know, DDoS stands for Distributed Denial of Service, basically spamming, writing a for loop. Okay, someone has been attempting to DDoS us for weeks. Okay, who is this? Table Plus. This is a database management system. Interesting. Is it hosted? Native, lightweight. No, that's an app. Okay, let's keep reading. Someone has been attempting to DDoS us for weeks now. They have flooded our server with hundreds of millions of requests and attempted to download our setup file millions of times. Ooh, so they're just hosting just a setup file, and it looks like that's the endpoint they're hitting. In the last 5 days alone, they tried to download it more than 800K times. Our setup file is approximately 200 megabytes per download. That's expensive. Most of the traffic came from EU, specifically Germany and United Kingdom. Here is the recently API call within 30 days. Not includes download request and CDN traffic. Wow, so they have, 39 million from Germany, 46 million from United Kingdom. 4.38 terabytes? Good Lord, that's an Ethereum node. 3.42 terabytes. They've attempted to download the setup file millions of times in the last 5 days. The attack is still ongoing as we write this blog post. Okay, let's keep going. What do we do in this hot situation? We do nothing except watching them DDoS. We haven't blocked any attacker IP addresses. Although we use Cloudflare, we haven't activated under attack mode. Our server CPUs are almost idle, typically 0 to 1%. In general, we barely do nothing. Why? Because our services are capable of handling billions of requests per month without any issues and isn't much cost. We have around 8 API services and its databases, all capable of handling billions of requests per month without caching. And we have unlimited bandwidth with Cloudflare. Okay, this is turning into a sales pitch very quickly. How our Table Plus apps design are simple, and this philosophy extends to our backend services where we keep things as minimal as possible. We avoid using third-party services like Vercel or Netlify for rendering, as they become bottlenecks and surprise you with bills during attacks. This is very true. AWS can very much cause this problem as well, which these are kind of just front ends for AWS. Instead, we use our web servers, which have no limitations. In the past, the monolith was a bottleneck due to weak VPS/processors. However, with today's powerful VPS, so virtual private server, multi-core processors, high RAM, and fast SSD, a monolith service can handle billions of requests per month in a single instance if implemented correctly. Thus, we build a monolith service for each app, which is easy to deploy and maintain. No Docker, no Kubernetes, no dependencies, no runtime environment. Just a binary file that can be deployed on any newly created VPS. That's pretty cool. So let's talk about the monolith. Okay, everyone tends to overcomplicate things, which is an issue until you face pressure limitations. We heat complexity, I don't know what that means, so we opt for the monolith. We consolidate everything an app needs into a single service, API, website, email, payment. Everything in one service. Okay, so I guess that's like the opposite of atomization. Deployment is straightforward, just one configuration file, build and deploy. Are they using Nix? Is this going to turn into a Nix pill? I'm getting excited. Fewer dependencies make it easier to debug and identify bottlenecks. Where there's an error, you don't need to check as much. There's only one single service or just a few of them. Okay, monolith frameworks you can choose from include Golang, EchoGen, PHP, Laravel, Ruby, Rails, Rust. When done right, a single web framework of Go or Rust can handle billions of requests per month. So I talk about choose a high-performance framework, Golang or Rust, indexing your database, separate the main database, use reverse proxy to handle and distribute requests to your core API. Put everything behind Cloudflare and configure it properly. Use a CDN that has DDoS protection. Don't put any big downloadable files in your VPS without a CDN or caching, because they'll quickly burn your bandwidth. Protect your mailer. Interesting. So it's just the single Go and Rust API service. What did they say they included in here? We consolidate everything an app needs into a single service, API, website, email, payment. Wow. Deployment, we use binaries. We choose Go and Rust because they're high performance languages. Can generate binary files for deployment. Update, Vercel reached out. They want us to clarify that we now have protection for DDoS. Okay, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Nice meme, nice meme. Good sales shill. I mean, you know, I like to see stuff like this. There was a talk from, who was it? What's his name? Jan from Swan at Bitcoin Plus Plus like 2 years ago, and he was talking about their approach to doing basically JSON web tokens, or a replacement for JSON web tokens. They basically have a scheme that's similar to JSON web tokens, but uses a more simple kind of public-private key approach. And that was a cool workshop for me to see. Like, I think it's cool if, especially us in the Bitcoin space, if we can share these kind of, you know, this isn't necessarily something Bitcoin specific, but just share these kinds of stories, these kinds of templates for creating more, I guess, resistant architecture, you know. and infrastructure and software that's resistant to especially DDoS attacks and spam attacks, but all different kinds of attacks as well. I mean, we've seen a ton of attacks this week. There's probably going to be another story about that coming up. It's interesting too here because this was a good clickbait title, I'm not going to lie. But you just wonder how much the spammers are paying here. They mentioned we haven't blocked any attacker IP addresses, so that makes it a lot cheaper. Because normally if you're going to do a DDoS attack, you're going to have machines, you're going to have, what do they call it? Something like a botnet. Basically multiple machines that are going to be changing IP addresses and basically trying to look like different machines as they make requests. But of course that's quite expensive because you're spinning up a bunch of servers, spinning them down, spinning them back up. So, what is the payoff for a DDoS unless it gives you some kind of access for some profit yourself? Well, people have their reasons and states definitely have their reasons. But this is a very cool approach. I would definitely like to hear someone with more enterprise backend experience speak to this setup. But very cool. All right, onward. Reading top dev stories. This was just my post from last week, doing the first one of these. PlebDevs live coding deep dive on Hedgehog protocol. We did that last week. Shout out to the Wild Hustle for posting this. Oh, and I need to zap. I'm not zapping these guys. I need some zaps. Sweet. Okay, how to embed a tweet in its original form while posting a link. I don't know what that means. I was posting an article link, and I wanted to post a tweet and options under context. Well, everything was good except the Twitter link I posted. Oh, okay, I see. So this is just Stacker News thing. Who's supposed to fix this? Am I supposed to fix this? I probably could. Yeah, so it's just how Markdown works. They shouldn't change it. Instead, it's allowing original tweet format insertion in the post context. Okay, we'll have to return to this. This is just a bug report. But thank you for posting in devs. This should be the right place. Okay, devs who can't code. Number 2, build a Bitcoin price tracker from the Wild Hustle. Oh, this is, what's his name? Oh, I already clicked on this before. Guy Swan. So devs who can't code, price tracker. Welcome to the second episode of Devs Who Can't Code. In this series, myself and Hope TS will together embark on a mission to prove that you don't need to be a coding wizard to build apps. Now with the boundless capabilities of artificial intelligence, anyone can be a developer. Join us as we explore the tools and techniques that enable us to design, develop, and deploy apps without traditional coding skills using AI-powered development. Okay, so this is cool.
I don't even consider using AI to do CSS, but it gave pretty good results.
That's one of the first things I've used it for.
Yeah.
I think Hope here, myself and Hope TS, does that stand for TypeScript? I think he's a dev here. So this is actually a really cool format because you have someone that's, I mean, not non-technical, but a non-developer with a developer with ChatGPT. And it's like, let's build an app together. So I think that's a pretty cool format. I am a little, I have feelings about, I guess some of the sentiment around like, you don't need the traditional developer skills now to build apps with AI. Like there is a lot of truth in that, but there's something in a sense dishonest about it because like, yeah, you can play around and build a toy app that you hardly understand with AI tools and probably beyond that nowadays. But all of the benefit that you want from writing code, almost all of it will come from understanding it. And I would prefer people use AI as a way to help them accelerate their understanding, right? Or to identify areas where they have information gaps and use ChatGPT to fill in those gaps. Like I think that's what's really powerful about ChatGPT, especially given like the quality of code that it still produces. If you start in a new chat with ChatGPT and you're like, Make me a to-do app. Let's start with the main page. Okay, now let's do this page. Okay, now let's do that. Like, as you go further on into that conversation and into building out the app, it's going to produce more and more flaws and more small bugs as time goes on. And this is like, when I use ChatGPT or any LLM, I keep the context window as short as possible and as narrow and kind of atomic, and basically just singling out one problem. And so you have to be very careful with how you're prompting, or you're just going to end up with a lot of code that kind of doesn't work, and then you don't understand how to fix it. But nonetheless, I think their format here is really cool, and I definitely want to, I'll definitely poke through this a bit more. But shout out to Guy Swan. Shout out to the no-code devs and the AI code devs, I suppose. Okay, sweet. Okay, final story here. GitHub developers hit in complex supply chain cyber attack. All right. So the attacker employed various techniques, including distributing malicious dependencies via a fake Python infrastructure linked to GitHub projects. Let's check it out. Darkreading.com. That's a good domain. Oops. Oh my gosh. Okay. An unidentified group of threat actors orchestrated a sophisticated supply chain cyber attack on the members of top.gg GitHub organization, as well as individual developers, in order to inject malicious code into the code ecosystem. What is top.gg? It sounds like esports something. Explore millions of Discord bots. Okay. The attackers infiltrated trusted software development elements to compromise developers. They hijacked GitHub accounts with stolen cookies, contributed malicious code via verified commits, established a counterfeit Python mirror, and released tainted packages on the PyPy registry. Would this be considered a supply chain attack? Well, they're saying supply chain cyber attack. But what does that mean? I'm used to thinking of like a supply chain attack being like in the Bitcoin context of like you order a hardware wallet and someone in the middle between the delivery, like, someone in the supply chain. Supply chain attack is a type of cyber attack that targets trusted third-party vendor to the supply chain. Okay, I see. So this is the same kind of idea. You've got the product passing between intermediaries, and you try and get in the middle of that process. Okay, so they hijacked the GitHub accounts. So the developers of these Python packages contributed malicious code, established a counterfeit Python mirror, that's scary, and released tainted packages in the PyPy registry. So multiple TTPs, I don't know what that stands for. Help attackers create sophisticated attacks. Evade detection, increase the chances of successful exploitation, and complicate defense efforts. The attackers utilized a convincing typo squatting technique with a fake Python mirror domain, resembling the official one to deceive users. Okay. Typo squatting. By tampering with, so they basically made like they bought a domain that looks very similar to the official domain. Like if you just look at it at a second, at a quick glance, you won't be able to tell that there's like a 1 in there or something. Yo, thank you. No problem. Thanks for watching. Later. Yeah, so that's that's very deceiving. You see that a lot in like spam emails. It'll be like, oh, your Amazon order is like whatever detained, and then you look at the domain and it's like Amazon with a 0 or something. Okay, by tampering with popular Python packages like Colorama, which is used by more than 150 million users, to simplify the process of formatting text, the attackers concealed malicious code within seemingly legitimate software, expanding their reach beyond GitHub repositories. They also exploited high reputation GitHub top GG accounts to insert malicious commits and increase the credibility of their actions. TopGG has 170,000 members. Wow. So I guess I guess in this context, like, people are submitting their Python bots to TopGG. Data theft. In the final stage of the attack, the malware used by the threat group steals sensitive information from the victim. It can target popular user platforms, web browsers, Opera, Chrome, Edge, by targeting cookies, autofill data, and credentials. Yeah, cookies are such a good way to pwn people. There's been a lot of discussions around PlebLab of like potential attacks just within, and for me, I'm thinking of new attacks all the time in the web ecosystem. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit, and you kind of just don't even want to say it out loud, so no one does it. But yeah, I mean, there's so much attack surface in the developer landscape, especially for these more I guess higher level languages like Python and JavaScript, where we are relying on hundreds of dependencies for every project, right? You can never possibly keep track of all the potential vulnerabilities or exploits that go into the hundreds of packages you use in your JavaScript app and your Python app. And so, you know, this is just somewhere where, like, you want the Bitcoin software, the Bitcoin companies, apps, to have a low time preference approach on this. Like, obviously, you know, you build your MVP, maybe it's just a basic web app or something like that. But as we continue, we need to reduce our attack surface. And they call them dependencies for a reason. You know, you're dependent on them. Let's see if there's anything else in here. The malware can steal victims' cryptocurrency wallets, not mine. Telegram session data and Instagram profile information. I can already get your Instagram profile information. In the latter scenario, the attacker uses the victim's session tokens to retrieve their account details, employing a keylogger to capture keystrokes, potentially compromising passwords and messages. Stolen data of these individuals' taxes and exfiltrated to the attacker's server using various techniques, including anonymous file sharing services and HTTP requests. Yeah, this is one reason that, like, I like to use ngrok a lot, and it's just a way to, like, take a local host and make it globally available. And it used to be like it's open source software, and you used to be able to just kind of download it and run it on your machine and use the service. But people kept on using it for these kinds of attacks because you can just basically spin up a brand new server with an IP address with a single command. And so people could easily build these scripts that would spin up, you know, hundreds of ngrok servers, and their personal information wouldn't be attached to ngrok. So now, sadly, ngrok, you have to create an account and log in before you even download the software. Well, of course, the software is open source, so you can go get it yourself. But I think to access their server, so unless you're self-hosting the ngrok on the server side, they require an authentication token. But, okay. I know there was some more attacks this week, some bigger ones, but they didn't end up on devs this week, so I guess we'll see the updates in the coming weeks potentially. But sweet, okay, that was somewhat fast. What are we at? 50 minutes in. Wow. Okay. Cool. Well, we knocked out a good 8-9 stories there. Yeah, so definitely shout out to all of you all that are learning how to code right now or just improving your coding skills. South Korea LN, Expatriate, The Wild Hustle. I see you all out here. It's very cool. Keep sharing. You're definitely not alone. For those of you talking out loud about your journey, there's 100 other plebs that are on their dev journey, and they're lurking, and they're, you know, maybe scared to share, but you should share, build in public, share your journey. People will help you, they will like you, and in general, it will just help accelerate things. So definitely encourage that. So thanks to all for posting, and just thanks for all the devs on Stacker News here. So sweet. All right, I think we're gonna get into some live coding next. Feel free to pop in any comments or questions from these stories. But I think I'm going to start to set up my little dev environment here. So I've got on my agenda show zaps on content and then implement Bitcoin Connect. So yes, so this is for my PlebDevs platform that I've been working on stream. If you haven't seen before, it's becoming a little slower process than I thought. I've been pretty busy, but it's nice to be able to like knock out a feature at a time here on stream a few times a week. So let's start to jump into it. I'm gonna open up Docker desktop here. How's the battery doing? Okay, we're staying stable. Docker is what really starts to drain us normally. Stop this and grab my repo here. Sweet. So here's PlebDevs. We got a decent amount in here now. The project is growing, but you know, trying to keep it simple. We've got components here. We've got a DB with Postgres using Prisma. I've got a bunch of hooks. I've been really into custom hooks lately. I've been enjoying moving a lot of my logic out of the components into hooks. I kind of like that paradigm. And then, of course, this is a Next.js app, so we have a bunch of different pages here to store our components and some of our UI. And then, of course, we have an API here to access all of the resources from our database. So I guess, you know, pretty standard setup here. I've got a few utils as well, just some custom stuff for Noster and like formatting time. Format timestamp to how long ago. Nice. Cool. And so last time I was working on implementing basic zaps here. So we still have this sitting from my first initial implementation. I'll probably refactor this at some point, but this is a good little snippet of an example of the full zap flow if you've never implemented it yourself. Get the author's name from the content. We get the author's kind 0 from Noster. Get the author's let16 from their kind 0. Make a request. Ensure that they allow Noster, and at which point we basically create a zap request event from Noster. We send it to them. They give us back an invoice. We pay the invoice, and then they broadcast a receipt. That is the full flow. I know it's a lot of steps. I've seen people that put together like, what do you call this? Like flow charts that show you like, you know, you start here, you request an invoice, but those are almost more confusing because it's just like back and forth, back and forth. There's a lot of touch points with zaps here, but you know, once you have it in place, should just work, and it's pretty fast. So yeah. And the most recent thing I did, we struggled with this last time, but I was trying to fetch my zap, so the zap receipts for the content on the website. I was having trouble with the filter, but it appears to be working now. So that's probably what we will jump into here right off the top, is show zaps on content. Just kind of get that basic piece in place, and then I'll jump into Bitcoin Connect, which will be very cool. So let's get this spun up. Docker compose, up, build. Right, this will take a second. While this is starting up, I'm going to take a very quick bathroom break, so I'll be right back. Start the music back up. All right. All right. Are we living? Are we breathing? Thriving? I'm ready. Let's get into it. Okay. So off the top, I've got this fetch zaps for event, and we are using this in my course template, and this is where we're gonna start. So I'll pull up the app here, localhost 3000, and it'll take a second here for the first render. But right now, the zaps, they're only living on the courses. So, you know, the final form of PlebDevs here will have courses, workshops, and resources. Actually, the final form will have everything, but that's far, far in the future. But for right now, this is what we're gonna start with, their MVP. And currently, if you go to courses here, I've got this zap button, and I can hit it, and we should zap myself. Here comes Albie. Okay, 1 sat. Oh yeah, we have it hard coded to 1 sat right now. Do we? Yeah, I do. So that's fine. I'll update that later, and probably need to make a modal or something to let the user choose. So pay invoice response. So we get back the payment hash pre-image. So we know that we successfully paid the invoice. But now, if we go back to this home page, so it's in this courses carousels where yes, we see our zaps coming in zaps array. So basically the filter I have, so okay, so this is the course template. Yes, so we spin up the useNoster, an instance of the useNoster hook, and we run it, and we check to see if there are zaps. If there are, we set them to our local state here. Otherwise, we fetch them, in which case events come back, and when those events come back, we then set them. So that makes sense. And we see my array is getting populated here. And the filter I have is for, so kinds 9735. So this is the kind number of the Noster note for zap receipt. And then I'm able to put this hashtag E. This is basically a filter for the E tag. And I put the event ID. So you know, a zap receipt might be referenced to an event with E tag or to a profile with a P tag. So you can either zap a profile or an actual like note. So cool. Looks good. We're getting our array back, and there appears to be zaps in there. So these should, if I open these up and open up tags, we should see an E tag with 60113, and all of these should have that same ID that they're referencing, 60113. Yep, and these are all my own zaps, I believe. I don't know, maybe someone zapped me. Whoa, was that my pub key? In hex? Does my pub key start with, I need to zoom in, 4 zeros? 1, 2, 3, 4. That feels lucky, maybe, I don't know. Pub key, 0, 1, 2, 3. Pub key, yeah, these are all from me. Okay, let's show them. I think right now I just want to show these on the opposite end of our published 1 month ago. So is that here? So yeah, course.published at flex column. Okay, so let's make a new row here. So make a div. I'll put this in there. Class name, flex, and flex row. And we'll do justify between because we're gonna want the timestamp and the zaps to be on the opposite sides. And let's also say W full to have it full width. And then I'll just put in a like P here, and I'll say 21. Oh, am I in the right place? Course template. We probably need to maybe refresh. Or maybe the text is just dark. Okay, there we go. 21. How so the content can be full width. I see. Okay, that's fine. That's fine for right now. Maybe add a hair of padding on the right. But yeah, let's do this. So class name, should do padding right too. And let's find our Zap emoji. I know I used it on one of my pages, so I'm just gonna copy it from there. Pages, this was the details page. And there should be a button that says Zap. Zap. Oops, no, not in there. Zap. Oh, icon. Oh, so I'm using the Pi bolt. Okay, so I might just use this icon instead of like the emoji. Where else am I using this? I think you can use this in an I tag, yeah. Sweet. So course template. Okay, let's do an I tag here. And we'll just do that. So pi thumbs up, except we'll do pi bolt. Was that it? And then zaps.length. We actually don't want to do zaps.length. I want to do zaps.amount, or well, there is no dot amount, but I want to get the amount, the total amount of all the zaps. Okay, let's refresh. Is my hot module reloading not working? Okay, sweet. So, nice. So we can see the zaps there. Is that where I want to put them? That's fine for right now. I'm not going to obsess about UI. It's not fun to watch UI development very much. Okay, so we have a zaps.length. So let's, so we've got zaps, set zaps. So let's make a new use effect where we're going to do const zap amount. So const zap amount, set zap amount. We'll start. I kind of want to start at null. So I'm not using TypeScript, so I can do that. Okay, use effect. And we want this to run. Yeah, every time that zaps is populated, this will run. And if zaps length is greater than 0, set amount. So no. So I want to iterate through all of the zaps. So I'm going to use a dot map. So I'm going to say zaps dot map for each zap. We're going to have a callback function, which in here I can just like console log it for right now, zap, and let's go to console. So we have ID tags, bolt 11. So I need to parse the bolt 11 here and actually grab the amount from the bolt 11. So that's fun. Luckily, I think I have a util for that or something. I don't. Where did I did something like this. Amount from invoice. No, okay. So I could probably write my own parser here, so but I'm gonna be doing this again. So there's a library I remember, so npm bolt 11 invoice. Was this it? Light bolt 11 decoder. I think this was it. A lightweight and naive library for decoding Lightning Network payments as identified by bolt 11. Okay, sweet. So this is this isn't the cleanest library, but I do like it. It gives you fully all the information you need here from a given invoice. And it seems pretty simple. So let's pull this in. Oh, it's fiat Java. Okay, cool. So that's all in good company. How do I light bolt 11 decoder? Do I do at? So let's add this. We'll have to restart our server. Or our Docker container, rather. Oh, let me zoom in for you. We're pretty zoomed out still. Oh, I need to do legacy pure deps. Dash legacy dash peer dash deps. I think like that. Okay, cool. That worked. Okay, sweet. So we have that. Let's spin up Docker again, and let's figure out where we're going to get the amount from this giant object. So example output from require light bolt 11 decoder dot decode, passing in the invoice. Okay, pretty simple. Payment request sections. Value, name, amount. Okay. So this would be sections is an array. So we would decode, and then we get back a decoded, and I would say decoded dot sections dot 0, 1, 2. Second index dot value. That's what it should be. So let's write that down before I forget that. Let's have, yeah, let's make a new bolt 11, or we'll just call it lightning utils. Utils, lightning.js. Did I spell that right? Yes, I did. Okay, so let's import, is it a named import? Require, okay. Light bolt 11 decoder. So we'll just say bolt 11 decoder. Oops. Okay, cool. And let's just start simple here. Export const get amount from invoice. So we pass in invoice. So const decoded, and then we'll actually return decoded dot sections of, what was it, 2 dot amount. And that should just be a value, so that should be good. If this works the first time, I'm basically a data genius. Okay, so get amount from invoice. So let's bring this into our component. Oh, we're getting sidetracked. Import from @util/lightning. Sweet. So for each zap, I'm gonna say const invoice equals, it's gonna be something, not zap.invoice. Let's look back into our console log. So we have a bolt 11 tag. Cool. So zap.tags.find, yeah, bolt 11. And then if invoice, we will say const amount equals get amount from invoice. Invoice of 1. Interesting. So we've got a bolt 11, and this is our array. So yeah, we do want to grab the value from the first index. So that's correct. Good job, Copilot. Outsmarted me again. Okay, so invoice of 1 of index 1. It's kind of confusing though. Tag 0 equals bolt 11. Can I like? Nah, that'll just make it more confusing. Okay. Invoice of 1. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna be more declarative. So bolt 11 tag is that, and then invoice bolt 11 tag. If we have it, it's bolt 11 tag number 1. Okay, cool. So now it's just invoice, and we get the amount from that. Let's just console log, check ourselves before we wreck ourselves. I'll just do the invoice. We'll just see if we get the invoice. invoice. Hopefully background noise isn't too loud, but we're rocking. Okay. So 0 zaps.map, and then I'm setting zap amount. So let's see what we get. It's still gonna say 4 because the length of our zaps is also our amount. Okay, so we get back amount undefined. Do I need to await? This isn't async, is it? No. So let's console log decoded. Give it a refresh. Oops. That's not a refresh. Okay, where's decoded? Where's decoded? Where's decoded? Did I save that? Get amount from invoice. I must be doing something wrong. Okay. Passing in the invoice. Okay, here we go. Decoded. Dot sections of 2 of value. So it should be sections of 2 of value. Oh, I put amount. Okay, there we go. Just couldn't quite get it the first time. What about now? Invoice amount 1,000, amount 1,000. Nice. And we actually need to get amount from invoice. I'm gonna call this get sat because we still have to deal with sats and millisats. So I'm gonna call this get sat amount from invoice, and we're gonna do divide by 1,000. So get sat amount from invoice, and we might need to get millisats at some point, but we'll just be extra explicit here with what we're doing. Try not to write terrible code. Place that. Come on. Get sat amount, and then let's set, instead of zaps.length, we're gonna say zap amount. Okay, let's refresh. It's kind of a bad test because it'll still say 4, but we should be adding up. Oh no, amount 1, amount 1, amount 1. Ah, that's dumb. We're dumb. We're just replacing the 1 value every time. So set amount actually needs to be zap amount plus our updated amount. Is that how you spell amount? I'm just looking at words too closely. They're spelled funny. Okay. Now we should pull them all in, we add them up, and boom, we end up at 4. 4, but these ended up with 3. That's interesting. Are these different events? I think these are just duplicated events. So I wonder why that's happening. I probably need to, this is a very pathetic first attempt of summing up all the zaps here. So I probably need something that's a little more maybe something that pulls it up front for all of the pieces of content. And is a little more atomic, I guess. But it basically works. So we're reading in our zaps. And then we can zap from here. Okay, that's cool. That's cool for right now. That's our kind of like barely working basic zap implementation. And I'm gonna have to come up in here later and polish this a lot more. But we don't want to watch that. It's not very fun. So I'm going to get in the Bitcoin Connect now because that's the next thing I want to add. What are we at here? Hour 17. Not bad. Update the notes. So we now showing zaps, at least on courses. Okay, let's get into Bitcoin Connect. I'm so excited. So you can learn about Bitcoin Connect at bitcoin-connect.com. Sweet, good domain. Almost great, but good domain. So let Bitcoin surf the web. Just a simple Bitcoin payments button, plain to deploy, a joy to use. We see an example here. I can connect my wallet to their page, and we see kind of what their UI looks like. And you know, there's some customization we'll be able to do here, but generally it's pretty nice. So Bitcoin Connect uses Nostr Wallet Connect, if you've never heard of that. And Nostr Wallet Connect is my absolute favorite spec on Nostr. You can learn about that from nwc.dev. And shout out to Albi, by the way. Albi released both Bitcoin Connect and they do nwc.dev. One of the few companies and group of individuals that really focus on Nostr Wallet Connect. I love it. So for me, basically how I want to use Bitcoin Connect for right now is, so back to localhost. So we can zap, and this is being done exclusively through just the Albi extension or any WebLN extension. WebLN is just another standard for kind of, you know, talking to a Lightning wallet via extension in the web. But I want to have a second option for the user that doesn't like to use Albi. Of course, you can connect Albi to your own node, but maybe they have some other Nostr Wallet Connect enabled wallet. In which case, I suppose on the profile page here somewhere is where I want to put the Bitcoin Connect button. Maybe kind of just where the subscription is right now, because it's sort of just a placeholder. But yeah, so connecting the wallet will that will help with zaps, and for just people that want to do like instant zaps, it'll be pretty nice for that reason. But I'm actually gonna have a little bit more of a sophisticated Nostr Wallet Connect implementation later on for subscriptions, and I'm excited to do that. I'm gonna do a dedicated stream just for that, but I'm gonna show you how you're gonna be able to do non-custodial Lightning subscriptions very simply as an app developer. So Bitcoin Connect does not exactly support that, but it will be a good kind of default for users to be able to connect their wallets. So let's just shove it in between our subscription and our pub key here. I know this looks weird as well because I've got like the double hoodie guy, but this is the icon for the website, and I'm just happen to be logged in as my PlebDevs guy, so that's why it looks like this. Okay, so let's see how to install this first. Actually, let's go to the documentation. Cool, very pretty landing page though. Good job. They got Zappy Bird here if you want to see the power of Nostr Wallet Connect. You can actually, I think it's like you send a sat every time you jump. So that's pretty cool. Okay, Bitcoin Connect v3, nice. Okay, this project includes web components for connecting to Lightning wallets and enabling WebLN. I already sort of have that. Websites only need to interface with WebLN to connect with multiple wallets, just like Albi extension. However, no extension is needed to be installed. Bitcoin Connect is provided by the website. Users can connect from both desktop and mobile devices using their favorite browser. PWAs just work. Bitcoin Connect's components work with pure HTML and all JavaScript libraries. Cool. Bitcoin Connect also supports a nice invoice payment UI. They won, oh yeah, they won Legends of Lightning Volume 2. Cool. So React package, Pure.js, React. So what does this look like? We have get albi / Bitcoin Connect React, and we get a bunch of these components here. Initialize Bitcoin Connect, render the Bitcoin Connect button, Render a pay now button. Invoice can be set initially. Okay. Interesting. So they have a particular pay button here. I don't know if I like that. Render the connect flow. Next.js SSR. Make sure to only import and render components client side. Okay. The modal to receive a payment, programmatically closing the modal, disconnect from wallet. Okay. This package is currently alpha. Features protocol central. Okay, initializing Bitcoin Connect API. So, app name, filters, filter type of connectors you want, for example. NWC, only to show NWC connectors. Okay, so that's what I want to do, because I'm only doing Nostr Wallet Connect here. I don't want to, I'm going to do WebLN on my own. Show balance if false, do not request the connected wallet's balance. Yeah, I don't think we need to show balance. I mean, it's a nice UI thing to show balance because you show like, hey, you're connected, but I don't know. And also, I think that Mutiny blocks show balance because it's kind of like a pretty big privacy leak. Because if you have a bunch of sats in your wallet, you connect it via NWC and it just like renders your full balance. Maybe that's not ideal. Provider config, experimental, add a provider specific configuration for NWC. Let's see, currently only use get balance, make invoice. Okay, so these are different request methods for NWC. So we can, yeah, for example, request to only get balance, request to only make invoice, or look up invoice. So that's good, but we're gonna do full spectrum here. Requesting provider. Okay, cool. So this is our init. Let's go back up to the basic example here. Button, use effect. Oof. I think I'm gonna stick with the React because I mean I know this should only be rendered on the client side, but maybe I'll regret that. Init. Okay, here we go. App name. I like the app. Cool. Let's make a component. We'll just copy this in. We'll tear it apart. See what we can render. So, where are we gonna put this? Banner, content, forms, menu, tab bar, profile. Yeah, profile makes sense. And let's just call it Bitcoin Connect.js. Sweet. Oh, and we need to install another package. Should be at getalby / Bitcoin -connect -react. Let's try that. Is the package different for? No, it's not. It's still the React package for Next.js as well. Speaking of attacks, we were talking about attacks earlier. Like right here, this moment when you do npmi, if you there's a lot of malicious packages that are like one letter off. So if like maybe I spelled React wrong, spelled it racked, someone might have a library for that. Probably not for this package, it's not big enough, but that is definitely something that happens to people. We gotta say legacy dash peer deps. Let's go. All right, spin it up again, and let me grab all this code again. We'll start to tear it apart here. Bitcoin Connect. Oh yeah. Render pay now button. Invoice can be set initially. Render the connect flow on its own without the modal. I see. Okay. So I can either have the button that opens up the modal, or I can do connect, the kind of put it in line specifically. So I think I'll do the button. Render the send payment flow on its own without the modal. No. Request a provider from WebLN. I don't need to do that. Launch modal programmatically. Don't need to do that. Open modal programmatically to pay an invoice. Yeah, I might touch that stuff later as I'm adding it. Like adding my zap buttons everywhere. Yeah, no, I don't want this either. Okay, cool. So I'm left with not that much. So let's make a component here. So let's say const. What can I call it? I'm gonna call it Bitcoin Connect button. I'll do export default Bitcoin Connect button. Doesn't seem like I need to spin this up in a use effect. Okay, back down to our init example. Steal this. We'll take what we need. Sweet. Uncomment this. And, oops. Okay, so filters is going to be NWC. My app name is going to be PlebDevs. Should I do capital D or lowercase d? I always go back and forth between this. Show balance, let's say false for right now. False, and there's gonna be no provider config. Can I just leave this out, or do I need? I can just leave it out. My document. Okay, sweet. Looks all right. Okay, cool. So this is our button on connect. Oh wait, provider. Const preimage equals await provider dot send payment. No, this is the wrong button. Render the Bitcoin Connect button. Interesting. Let's see what we get in this provider, and I'm not going to do this. Also, this is wrong because you would need to say async right here. Yeah. Okay, everyone. If you're looking for your first FOSS contribution right here, this is some pure alpha. Update Bitcoin Connect's docs here. This on connect. This is supposed to be an async function. If we are awaiting it. Free alpha right there. I'm gonna do it tomorrow if no one else does it. Okay, let's just console log the provider. Console log provider. Let's see what we get. Okay, so that's Bitcoin Connect button, and let's import it into our profile page. So pages detail profile. Connect button, and we'll do it very similar here to subscription. Connect your Lightning wallet. Bitcoin Connect button. Okay, let's see how it looks. Refresh. Oh, did we restart HTML element is not defined? Oh no. Modules galb. Reference error HTML is not defined. This is probably where I need to look at the Next.js example. God damn it. I'm sorry, God. So we need dynamic, next dynamic. Okay, I'll be Bitcoin, right? Then mod dot button, SSR false. Render the button normally. So is this our init? Or a dynamic import? Render the button normally, or to use the API. .then mod launch modal. To set the global WebLN object, we don't need WebLN. See Next.js, Next.js. Legacy demos for full examples. Am I on, what version of Next.js am I on? Next 14. That should be updated. So let's look at the Next.js example or demo app. App components, Bitcoin Connect client wrapper. SSR follows, Bitcoin Connect client wrapper. Launch model, button. I see, so these are the two different examples. The dynamic import and the, wait, no, this is the SSR and then this is the dynamic import. Let's think. Okay, let's try it. Let's just put this in and see what we can log. Const button equals dynamic. And knit, I don't have a knit anymore here. Let's just comment this out. And let's see what provider comes out. Okay, let me render. Connect your Lightning wallet, nothing. Button equals dynamic, next dynamic. Let's try this version. Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm not freaking returning it. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's format this. Okay, there we go. Okay, now it's rendering. Let's see what we get on click. Okay, it pops up. I've got extension wallets here, Nostr Wallet Connect. Yeah, I'm not getting anything. So this is on Connect. Provider, console log provider. What other handlers do we have? So this is their only component. Are they knitting it anywhere? Bitcoin client wrapper. No, they're just dropping it in like so. Wait, import .then mod launch model. Let's get some help from ChatGPT. Can you help me figure out how to set up my init object with Bitcoin Connect in a Next.js app? Here is the code example of adding Bitcoin Connect. Here is the README. use effect, init Bitcoin connect button, init await import. Oh, wow. Why would we import twice? Init Bitcoin connect, return a cleanup function. Okay, let's give this a try. Async once again. Oh wait, no, not this component. It needs to be the use effect because of course we can't await. Can we do a function inside of here? Can't do await in use effect. Dummy. So initialize Bitcoin Connect. Yeah, so just a async function inside of it. Okay, sweet. Back to my init object. PlebDevs. Show balance. False. Probably don't need to put that. It probably defaults to false, but and what was it? Filters. Wasn't it an array in WC? Yes. Okay, so that's my init, initialize. So this gets called on mount. But this button we get back. Initialize Bitcoin Connect. So I actually want to pull the button out of here, I believe. Let's give it a try though. Okay, so it looks like my init worked because it's only showing the Nostr Wallet Connect options right now. Albi, Mutiny, Umbral, and then this is just like you can manually enter an NWC that you bake. Cool. So this looks pretty good. Of course, I can like change the colors and everything, change the styles to make it match my theme. But let's connect to Albi. Which am I on PlebDevs? Yes. Albi account, so this will pop up. Come on. I shouldn't need to do that. Pop up closed. Ooh, I gotta handle that, it looks like. Okay, I just have to sign in every 30 days. That's fine. It's letting me access my wallet right here. Okay, 1 second. Let me pull a tab over here and not accidentally dox my password. Just want to check this. Connect to wallet, wallet settings. Okay, sorry, just a little, have to log into Albi again. Okay, close that. Now let's try this again. Albi account. Okay, sweet. This is the screen I'm expecting to see. So this is the confirm Nostr Wallet Connect screen. So it's really cool. This is if you've worked with OAuth 2, this is kind of how you can think of it. It's very, very similar to OAuth 2 because you basically have two different services that are authenticating with each other. So my Albi wallet is authenticating with my app. And so Albi is like, hey, are you sure you want to give this PlebDevs app the ability to read your balance, read your node info, read incoming transaction history, look up status of invoices, create invoices, and send payments? I don't know, that's a lot. But I can do that. I can actually revoke any of these specific permissions via these checkboxes. And then I can set a monthly budget here. You can actually do more than monthly budget as well. I believe you can do like weekly budgets. And you can have an expiry time for this, so that's pretty cool. So let's just do 10K sats for right now, and we'll click connect, and let's see what happens. We have this on connect. Okay, wallet connected through Albi, disconnect. Okay, I then show this, and it shows me I'm connected, and when I click on here, I can disconnect and kind of just see that I'm connected. But then it's like, okay, well, where is it? What do we have here? I believe they should have saved to local storage. Some kind of, so user is mine, striked. What is that? That doesn't look good. BC config, Bitcoin Connect config. Okay, cool. Right inside of here. Nice. Can we make this bigger? I want to make this bigger. Let's just copy it. Let's copy it and look at it. VS Code. Okay, sweet. I should totally not dox this full Nostr Wallet Connect. So let me just boop. Okay, sweet. So essentially we get BC config. So there could be multiple things in here, but we only have one value in here, NWC URL. And then we get this URL, supposedly it starts with Nostr plus Wallet Connect, and then a bunch of stuff. So there's a secret in there, that's the first value. We have relays that we can pass in, so it's just defaulting to Albi's relay. They're V1. And then this is my pub key. Right here. Is this my pub key? Whose pub key is that? Because mine starts with 3 zeros from my memory. Nostr tool. This should actually be, I'm sorry, the app's public key. So load pub key from inpub. Load inpub. Let's copy this. Let's just see what this pulls up at nostr.com. So they might have created actually an app public key for me, but that shouldn't be the case. I need to review the spec. Yeah, so if this isn't loading, yeah, can't find it. Let's just check no strudel. Users by inpub. So this isn't actually a real user. Cool. So I think that's something like my app's public key, but either way, I should be more careful with this because there's a secret in it. But actually, I can go revoke this right now. So I can go to nwc.getalbi.com, and it will have a bunch of, I have literally so many so many Nostr Wallet Connects here, but anytime I see PlebDevs here at the bottom, I can go into details and I can disconnect, I can revoke it. And now I don't have to worry if you all accidentally got my secret or something like that. But sweet, so I see that we have our wallet connected now. Actually, if I refresh, it will show that it's connected, but it only shows that because it still has this saved to local storage. So that's one thing to consider. I'm gonna need to delete this anytime that, I don't wanna delete all. I just wanna, how to delete a key pair from local storage by key in JS. Local storage dot remove item of code. Of course. Can I not remove only this item? Copy. Okay, whatever. Storage dot remove item. BC. What was it? Config like that. Undefined. Sweet. Okay. So it's gone. So now if I refresh, not connected. Cool. And yeah, I can probably put, I can probably play with my use effect here a little bit to make it to where like you don't necessarily have to refresh the page to see if it's gone. But I believe through the NWC protocol, it should be able to tell actually if the user is even revoked the NWC. Maybe you have to try payment, I'm not sure. But okay, we have our little component here. Let's see if let's do a zap. Let's figure out how we would update our zap to, because basically if we go to a piece of content here, oof, it's running slow. When I click this zap button, I want it to basically first priority if Bitcoin Connect is connected. If I have that object, I want to use that first and foremost. Otherwise, fall back on a WebLN. So let's figure out how to do that. Let's figure out how to do our zap. So render the connect button, render a pay now button. Okay, so we have a pay button. This comes out of here. But I don't have my traditional imports. Button on click, async launch modal. Mod, launch modal, mod, on connected. Okay, let's go back to ChatGPT here. Let's say, okay, great, it works, but now, how do I render the pay or zap button and not use the connect button? Mod.pay button. Okay, I see. Are we using the dynamic? So dot then const button. Ah, okay. So we should be able to do the same thing here. Interesting. So we'll actually probably render a different button depending on the presence of the Bitcoin Connect config and local storage. So let's go in our details page is where the zap button is. And I just have this one zap button right now. I kind of just want to build the functionality into it in this one place, and then I'll kind of take it out and make it more of a generic thing they can put anywhere. So I've got handle zap event, and here's my button. So let's grab our cuts button equals we're gonna call this Bitcoin Connect Pay button. It's dynamic. Let's bring in dynamic, but we're gonna say pay button. Sweet. Okay, cool. What am I listening to? How deep in this playlist are we? Okay. So close to having this. So let me see. I need to check if Bitcoin Connect is in local storage. I have this use local storage hook, so use local storage and use local storage with effect. Okay. Let's see. Stored value, set stored value. I'll just do a regular local storage call. Where were we? Details. Okay. So let's put another use effect in here. And so this will run on render. And let's actually put const Bitcoin Connect config equals window.localstorage.get item, and it was bc config like this. And we're gonna say const Bitcoin Connect, but this will actually be a true or false, so it's gonna default to false. Bitcoin Connect config. I'll just call it Bitcoin Connect. Okay, then if Bitcoin Connect config set Bitcoin Connect to true. Sweet. And then we now have our Bitcoin Connect Pay button. And so if we're connected, we will render that instead of this. So let's get a few curlies, wrap it around, and we'll say Bitcoin Connect but I actually want to do this as a ternary operator. So if Bitcoin Connect is true, then I'll return the Bitcoin Connect Pay button. And it should just need to do it like that. Else, I'll return my normal zap button with my normal handle zap. Okay, let's format. And I like to do it like this. Okay, sweet. That looks good. Let's see what we end up with here. So first and foremost, I'm not connected right now, so let's re-render this. Window is not defined. Damn. If window, and if type of window is not equal to defined. I see. Can I just call it local storage from here? I don't know if I have to call window. Local storage is not defined. Okay. So we actually need to do this inside of the use effect here, which will run every time on render. Okay. say if okay, so this will help just keep us, if it initially renders kind of on the server side, it should return, but then like we should still be able to like capture this value. What's up, JPL? Looking at Bitcoin Connect. Okay, sweet. So if my Connect config is in local storage, then we set Bitcoin Connect to true, in which case our button should be returned. So let's just refresh again, and we are currently not connected, so we'll get our normal zap button. Okay, so now let's go and connect and come back here. Connect a wallet with Albi, and we'll do 10K sats a month. That works. Okay, connected. Back to the home page. Ugh, I gotta get rid of these console logs. Okay, sweet. So our Bitcoin Connect button renders now. I actually have been collaborating with Albi team. If you have any suggestions regarding Bitcoin Connect you want me to pass on, please tell me so. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I've talked to Albi a few times about Bitcoin Connect, but I'm really... Well, I dove into it initially when they came out with it, and I was actually working on a lot of custom like Nostr Wallet Connect kind of implementations myself. But at the time, I couldn't save it in local storage, basically. I couldn't use their paradigm of saving it in local storage. So that was the limitation before, and now I am able to use local storage. So I'm using it because it's the easiest solution. But yeah, like so far from my experience, things have been pretty good, but there was just, I kind of ran into trouble here with the Next.js example. Just had to use ChatGPT because I was trying to figure out how to init and how to like get the pay button and stuff like that with the Next.js example. And then I realized like, oh wait, because I'm using the dynamic option. I just need to do mod.button, mod.paybutton, mod.init, right? And that's what I was missing here. So if we go back to my Bitcoin. Yeah, so I had to pull init out of here. So this is probably still not the best doing it in a... Is there an init actually right here? Is that what I should have done? Oops. .init. Ah, okay, I see. So I should really change this. But either way, yeah, probably did things a little bit inefficiently at first. I'm just trying to figure out Next.js. So yeah, just a slight bit of friction there, but overall, I'm probably not deep enough to give any real feedback, but I do love it. Like, this is my go-to of like if someone's talking about implementing Lightning for the first time, I tell them like go try Bitcoin Connect, because it is a great user experience, and so far pretty easy developer experience. I mean, I've just been working on this for like 20 minutes. Okay, let's try to zap the content now. Pay now. What does this look like? I haven't seen this UI in a while. Loading, so my BC config is in local storage, so what are we loading? We shouldn't be getting any... BC config, I see that it's here. Let's try again, what's happening? That's superb, I'll share them. This video with the timing of this moment be superb. If you have any issues, just tell them in your Discord. I'm there, and so is Tomic. Sweet. Yeah, man. It looks like this is my first real problem here. I have my tracking is turned off. There's no Albi window open that I'm ignoring. Oh, let's check in my logs here. Okay. What is this? These are just from my image proxy. This is an ugly error. No, this is just image proxy. Image proxy. Image proxy. Yeah, so nothing logging on the server side. How am I doing my pay button again? I'm doing it with a dynamic import just like this. But I'm realizing I don't have the use client declaration. Use client. So let's try and add this here, and I'm gonna add it. This isn't even where my pay button is. Add it into details. Yeah. Connect pay button. SSR false. Use client just in case. You know what? I just realized I'm an idiot, and I need to pass an argument to the pay button, don't I? Pay button invoice. So render a pay button invoice can be unset initially using the onClick function. Is a good time to fetch the invoice. Okay. Sweet. So we just need the onClick. For some reason, I was thinking this would be handled in the background, but that's easy. So. Handle, I've got handle zap event. Let's do handle BC zap event. Oh, I hate that name. Just make it long. Bitcoin connect zap. Just do handle Bitcoin connect zap. Okay, let's make this function. And so there should be an event here that gets emitted. So it's just console log E. And from here I can fetch the invoice. And this is where I would go. What am I doing? What am I saying in handle zap? Handle zap event. Response equals await zap event. Passing in the event. And zap event is coming from use noster. This might be a little bit too heavy-handed because this does literally everything instead of kind of set invoice on paid response alert paid response dot preimage. So I actually should be able. I should be able to use actually the same exact handle zap function I have here. Where was I? Profile details. If not event, return. I see, so this is the event that we're passing in. Zap response, zap response. Okay, yeah, let's just do the same exact thing here. Actually, I don't. I'm just gonna use the same function. And I think this is like defaulting to just sending a one sat invoice for right now. So let's see how this goes. So we got zap request. Sweet. That was pretty quick. But here we are, and we're doing this through WebLN. So, oops. We already had WebLN. We want to do this through Nostr Wallet Connect. So that gives me So I can, I know Alby's library allows me to pass in an NWC URL and like initiate a payment if I already have an invoice for that. But what is the Bitcoin Connect way of doing it? For not for WebLN, but invoice fetch invoice, set invoice to invoice, invoice to invoice, unpaid response, alert, payment, pre-image. Yeah, launch modal, launch payment, close modal. Send payment. Provider dot send payment. Connect provider. So I need to set my provider somewhere because provider.sendPayment, it looks like this is what we'll use NWC to pay an invoice. But of course then I run into the same problem of my function here is too, where is it? Zap event. It's doing too much. Really, I just need the first, you know, get the author's kind 0, get their let 16, see if allow noster is true. Create Zap request event and sign it. Interesting. So I do still need to create the Zap request event, send to the callback URL, and then step 7 is when I get the invoice back. And then step 8, listen for Zap receipt. And so this is calling WebLN directly, but I could write some really bad code right now and get this to work. Or, yeah, because maybe I could just do a condition here to say if Bitcoin Connect is in, if our config is in local storage, then I want to just return the invoice versus awaiting window.webln.enable. Okay. So that's probably what I'll do next time. I'm gonna have to refactor some code to kind of make this make sense, but at least for the connect side of things, we are looking good. Yeah, I mean, it's nice that it's pretty, like, all of my initial criticism of Bitcoin Connect was just the fact that, like, I couldn't use it because I had this specific use case, or really just this specific requirement of I couldn't save it in local storage. But it seems like the functionality here is expanding, and there's more ways that I can kind of inject my own logic in here, which is good. But now this is requiring me to rewrite some of my basic Zap functionality. But nonetheless, we got it here in our profile, and we're connected, and that was pretty simple to set up. Maybe a little extra for Next.js, but not too much trouble. And so I'm gonna probably clean up and polish these examples a little bit, and for the next stream give a more clean overview and not a spaghetti session. Payload handle submit. Okay, sweet. And clear out some of those console logs. Course template 32. Where are we at? Content, carousels, templates, course template. Sweet. I saved this, didn't I? These should be going away. They're probably cached. Okay, there we go. All right, well, that was a good first touch there. It was pretty easy to get something done with. But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna polish it up and clean up a little bit and have more of a clean example that we can show off for next time. Yeah, and I want to do a Bitcoin Connect workshop soon. Like, that's so obvious. I totally should have done it already, but we'll do that very soon. But yeah, I guess this is my chance to get familiar with it. Sounds cool. All right, let's get our green square for the day. Command-shim. Did Bitcoin connect button. Actually, first added zap amounts onto course template. So just on the course templates, I'm going to want to add all the other zap features to the other components too. But really, we're going to build it all out first and just make sure it works, make sure it's clean, and then we'll just make a generic component out of it, generic hook potentially, and then we can kind of add it to all of our little bits of front end. All right, do we get the green square? You give me the green square. Yes. Sweet. Okay, then I'm happy. I can sleep at peace with that, with at least one commit for today. I probably should have broken that up into more, but that's cool. But sweet, thank you for bearing with me for this very sleepy stream. Got a little bit into Bitcoin Connect here, and of course read the top dev stories. So I'll post these videos up in a few days, and I'll be back later this week with some more live coding. Probably going to be working on Stacker News later this week. And then we'll be having some kind of workshop this weekend. Maybe Bitcoin Connect. Maybe. I'm also working on actually just a basic Next.js workshop. So we'll get into that soon. But thank you for coming. Thank you for watching if you did. Keep an eye out for more. And as always, if you're a PlebDev, you know, my DMs are open. The Discord is open. You can find out everything you need about PlebDevs from plebdevs.com. And join a growing community of developers in the early part of their journey. So sweet. Thanks you all. I'll be back next